What an enormously busy time of year. So much going on in so many different directions. It's really a fun time because there's so many challenges to it. So many moving parts. You know, it's free agency, it's your roster, it's draft time, and all of that all at the same time, and it's combine. So when we get to this time of year, you know, we're always reminded how challenging it is, and we're challenged to make decisions that you know, could impact tremendously, and so in so many ways too. It's on your team, it's players, it's money, it's all kinds of things, to cap, all that stuff. So we are maintaining the mentality that we've had to just keep competing at all turns, every aspect of it, and that means that we're looking at every opportunity, we're checking out every thought we can come up with, trying to stay as wide open and as curious and inventive and creative as we can be, to just make sure that we see what's available and see if we can make the most of it. We're coming off a season that we know we want to turn back in the direction we've been in for a long time, and it was hard and difficult and hated it, but what we take out of it is just kind of it feels like a resurgence, and I feel it, and I'm fired up and jacked about it, and there's nothing about any of these challenges that we can't make great decisions and turn things in a good direction and get going again. But it is a hard time, and it's challenging, and so this is where difficult decisions are made. I'm not able to tell you all the stuff that you're going to want to know. You're going to ask questions about stuff. I won't be as specific as you'd like, but I'll do what I can, and hope that you'll respect the fact that we're competing, and we got to keep our information to ourselves as much as we can at this time, because that's really of great value to us. So hopefully we're disciplined and good at it, and you guys get to take your shots and do whatever you need to, but more than welcome. I'll take on whatever you want. But it's a big time of year, and so it's fun to be here at the Combine.
Can you talk about kind of the decision with the defensive coaching staff and moving on from Ken Norton, and then who you ended up hiring?
Yeah, first let me say that I love Kenny Norton. We've been friends and cohorts for a long time, and really is a classic illustration of the decisions that are difficult at this time of the year. I've been edging for some time now to make some adjustments as we go, which is always what we're doing. And then how many adjustments, how big and how significant are they, are the ones that can determine your effectiveness. And sometimes you have to make these kinds of decisions and let somebody go. But I love him. I'm fired up about everything except for he's at UCLA, and being an old Trojan, I can't accept that. But he's going to make it hard on the Trojans, I know. Well, what we did do is we made a really significant move in giving Clint Hurtt this opportunity to be the defensive coordinator, where he has been a big factor on our staff since he's been with us. He has been a guy I've leaned on all the time. We made him assistant head coach to help me with all of the challenging team decisions that we make, that do affect the defensive side of the ball, but both sides of the football. He's a great thinker. He's tough. He's creative. He's got a really good background, a deep background in an area. The reason that I liked hiring him when we did was because of the people that he had worked with and worked under, and it gave him a really diverse approach to the game, and he learned real well. So the scheme that we adjust and the things that we do and the adaptations that we make will fit, with Clint's background, I think, and really keep him strong. He'll do a marvelous job for us. What you saw us do also is hire Sean Desai, where they have common background as well, and they've been together, and Clint was a big part of that hiring, and also a big part of attracting Sean to us. He was very, very much sought after by a number of clubs. He had all kinds of interviews. He was all over the place, and we were fortunate to get him, and we put him in a position where he has a good deal of influence scheme-wise and tactically and in all ways, and so I really like that combination. I think he is a featured back-end guy, coverage-oriented guy, linebackers and safeties and all that, and so those two guys together will give us a great 1-2 punch. We also we just recruited and competed, and we're very fortunate to get Carl Scott to come. Carl was just as hot as you can get with coaches putting together new staffs. They did everything they could to keep him there in Minnesota. His background is maybe not as revealing as who he is and how he approaches his game and what he brings. The connection between scheme with his background and Sean's is very significant and was really important in the decision. And then we just had to compete and get it done, and Clint did a great job to close that. And there's going to be a strong influence on our side of the ball in defense that will take us in some places that I've been really hoping to get to. We've been making our moves subtly, but now we can make it more significantly, and I think our players are going to really like it. Meetings so far have been great. The creativity and the challenge of it all has been. I've just been thrilled with being in it. So all that's going well. And so on that side of the ball, that was your question, I think. Okay.
For things you haven't done in Seattle?
Well, Greg, it won't look as different as you might think, but we've always been 3-4, 4-3 mixed. I've told you that for years, and this is the continuity of it is going to fit really well with outside backers that play defensive ends, and so that's how you go from 3-4 to 4-3. And we have a really significant group of guys that play inside with Al and Puna and Monet. Those guys are really significant players in stopping the run and bottling up the middle. But we need to advance ourselves in developing our edge talent. Darryl Taylor, is one of the young guys on our defensive side, couldn't be more in line with what we're looking for. Let me say this too, just about defense that I'm excited about is the young guys. The young guys really do bring us something. Jordan Brooks had a fantastic season. He's just going to keep getting better. I don't know how you could have more tools than he has. His ability to run, his diagnosis, his physicality, playmaking, and be able to hold the whole scheme. He'll just get better, but he is a really good football player. Alton Robinson, those guys are going to do a great job. And I was really impressed with Trey Brown, too, last year. I know you guys didn't get to see him a lot, but we saw him in practice and in preparing him to play when he was banged up. When he finally got there, he did really well. He got a knee fixed that he needed to have fixed. It was an issue that he had going in. So he'll be better than he was coming into camp. So we'll look forward to that. So I think this that mixture is going to be good with the scheme. So it is still great to answer you. We're going to look like a 3-4 team at times, and we'll be a 4-3 team at times. We'll use both aspects of the approach.
What about some of the guys
that's come back?
Trey's doing well. He's working hard at it. He's active already and going. He's pushing himself hard, so there's always going to be some struggle in there. But he's really optimistic and really positive. He's been around the building a bunch, and so really looking for him to be a big part of what's going on next year.
Some of the young guys in the receiver room, like Dee Eskridge.
What was that? What was the
Receiver room, like Dee Eskridge. What is James?
Okay. Yeah, I'm counting on Dee to be a big part of what we're doing. We had every intention going in. He showed us enough in the minicamp when he first got started, but then he got banged up, and so he had a very challenging beginning with us. So he never really did get caught up like he could have been with an offseason that we'll put together this time around. Really talented, explosive, smart, tough. Will be involved in the kicking game, return game when in time. We didn't quite get to that. He prepared to. He was a backup all along, so I think he'll be a significant part of the offense in that we can do a lot of stuff with him. He's really talented, and so he should be it should be real obvious.
Dickerson was referenced by a number of players when you guys got your running game going, and Rashad was running crazy those last 5 or 6 games. How much did that play into the decision to elevate him to now being the offensive line coach?
Yeah, forever in my coaching, I've always looked at young guys and develop them and bring them up, and once you get to know who they are and what they're all about, try to push them where they're strong and where they're capable and all, and where it seems obvious. Andy was one of those guys. He came in with Shane to give Shane support schematically and to help us transition, and he did all of that. And I just saw his impact and his connection with our players is just too significant to keep him out of the fundamental interaction that he can have with players and the effect that he can have. So it was a natural move in that regard. Again, another difficult decision with a guy I love that we work with Mike Solari, a beautiful coach, beautiful man, and all that. But this was it was part of the move and to keep moving forward and developing really and accenting really the best that Shane brings as the leader on offense. So it was a good move, for us. And so he does have good relationships with his players. He's very demanding, very technique-oriented, scheme-centered. And it's just the continuity it was just too good to not put together.
That's going to impact the scheme for the run game moving forward with Mike.
Yeah. It will affect us some. Yes, it will. And I don't think it has anything to do with what we were doing with Mike or any of that, because Mike can coach everything. But I think it'll just keep us tighter and keep us more focused on the stuff that we did really well. The things that they brought were the best part of our run game, and so I was really excited about why we hired them, and then it showed up and it worked, and statistically it panned out and all of that. So we'll just build from that more so.
For Bobby Wagner?
Well, we expect to play with Bobby. We love playing with Bobby. He's been a great player, had another great season. At this time of year, there's a lot of guys that are in a position where we got to figure out where everybody fits together, and Bobby has been such a steady part of it. We'd love to be able to play with him, so we'll work towards that. If we can do that, we'll do it.
Be able to carry the load.
Can you talk about Rashad Penny and how he came on late in the year?
Yeah.
Former
I love talking about this one. This is such an exciting story because it was so obvious. It was so obvious once he was able to sustain from one day to the next day to a week to another week and feel really good about his body, and he finally had recovered. And he had a major recovery from a major injury that just took a finely tuned, like a Ferrari. It just had to be all tuned up just right. Once he got going, he ripped, and he had a huge impact on our offense, on the running game in particular. And his explosiveness was just so obvious; it just jumped at us. I mean, he rushed for 700-something yards in 5 games. It was just crazy, and his confidence just soared. He goes into the offseason feeling the best he's felt in the last 3 years. He's off to a great start. He's working hard. He's determined and disciplined and wants to come back, and we want to get him back and all that. His explosiveness just jumped out, and the ability to break tackles, run aggressive in downfield, and then turn good opportunities into great opportunities and touchdowns, was just obvious. So. And of course, it's rewarding for us because we drafted him, in a high spot way back when, and to see him explode at this time and really show who he is, what he's all about, it was really a thrill. And our players love to see that emergence and that shift, and his impact. So hopefully we can get him back. Another very difficult challenge. We've got to get him back. He's a free agent.
DK Metcalf tweeted he had surgery or said he had surgery recently. What's his prognosis?
Yeah, they fixed a surgery that he had in his foot a couple years back. They just had to go in there and adjust some stuff in his foot. It bothered him all year long, and that's why I told you, we were not able to practice him. He practiced 1 day a week and a couple walkthroughs, and always had to be guarded just to maintain, his progress, which is not what was best for him. He needed to be working. He needed to be out there. It would have helped us and helped himself too. He knew it. It was, and we all knew it. There was just nothing we could do about it. He did everything he could, and he did, admirably, remarkably well, but you can only get so much done. He's still a young player. He's still a developing player, and he'll get better. Which brings me to the thought that we returned Sanjay Law to our club, who will have a significant role in what we're doing offensively. He had a big impact on us before he left, and the chance to get him back and to work with our guys on that side of the ball should be a real positive for us, and brings us another kind of an interesting look. He's been with us. He knows us. He went away. He came back. He's going to be a big factor in helping us grow.
Have you received any offers or inquiries from other teams on possibly trading Russell Wilson?
At this time of year, there's conversations about everybody. We're talking about everybody, and that's commonplace for us to have conversations with teams about all of the players, particularly marquee players, and that's not changed. It's been the same every year we've been here, so it's the same as it's been. We have no intention of making any move there, but the conversations, John has to feel those he always has, but nothing specific to that.
3-man front, 4-man front. How does that flexibility help you in getting a pass rush? What do you see in some of the players that are available in this draft as far as those things?
Yeah, really everything we do is designed to rush and passer because it all happens right there. And so everything we can do to make advancements is what's at hand. What normal 3-4 teams do is they use their 2 outside guys to be their ends when they rush the passer with their 4-man rushes on 3rd down and 2-minute situations. We've done that already. That's not new for us. That's why the change is not that drastic in that regard. But the idea is to really accent the edge rushers and try to get more out of those guys to accent what the guys are doing inside. So we're going to, continue to develop. Carlos had a really good finish to the season last year, had a good push at the end of the year, as he did the year before. Became a significant rusher for us. We'd love to have him be an increasing role. We love what Darrell Taylor does, and he's going to be all over it, and he'll be part of everything that we're doing. He's an outside linebacker that can rush the passer, and so all of that fits just right. We brought in Alton Robinson, a year ago in a draft. To see what he could add to it. He's involved in it, and we're just going to continue to try to develop that. So that's what the draft is about and free agency is about. We're going to try to keep going. I'm not going to talk about the specific guys, but that's always our intention, is to improve that. But also, we're going to focus on trying to develop our inside rush too in our guys. We play pretty big. We have big dudes that play and stop the run and do a great job in there, and they're not expected to be big factors in the pass rush. We'll take whatever we can get from them, but we need to continue to develop that, and that's a big area of focus for us.
What are you trying to do at center and tackle with all the free agents?
First off, we want to get our guys back as best we can. We're trying to get our guys back, and so that's where it starts. We'll see what happens. We don't know right now. We like our guys, and we think that the opportunity to grow with them and continue would help us, but we got to see what happens. And so this time right now is really specifically directed for John. He's trying to check out our roster, talk to all the agents, make sure that we can know where everybody sits with us, and to try to see where we have to go because of our opportunities to keep our guys. So we start with our own guys, and that's what we're trying to get done.
Dwayne Brown told us in January he'd be willing to do a one-year deal. Are you limiting yourself to that option?
No, we're not. No, there's no limitation right now. No, we're wide open. That might be a good idea. It might not be a good idea. It just depends on how things fit. We got to get Matt Thomas to do his magic with the numbers. We've always been really strict with what we've done. We've always spent all of our money. We're very competitive and creative in those areas, and we need to do that again to get to maximize our ops this time around.
What you've heard, would Quandre be ready to go by training camp if he was?
I don't think there's any doubt. That's all he's thinking about. He'll be back before then, I would think. Really positive, and we really want to get him back.
Chris Carson, did he update on him?
That his workouts are going well. He's in good spirits. He's looking forward to playing and getting back and all that. Anytime you have a neck surgery, it's obviously very intricate and all. We got to see how that works out. How much I've always loved Chris. I'd love to get him back if we can get him back.
Surprised at how much questions you've had about Russell Wilson's future this offseason?
How little questions we've had about it?
Are you surprised about how much conversation there's been?
Well, no, because last year it was out there like twice as much. So this is, no, I'm not surprised. I mean, look, it's the quarterback world right now. They're talking about all of them, and you guys are doing everything you can to try to figure it out. And that's what you got to do. So there's a lot of people taking shots, a lot of lines in the water right now, trying to guess and see what's going to happen.
The defensive adjustments you're talking about, a lot of teams moving towards those two high safety shells, playing out of that with Sean Desai's background. Is that part of what attracted you to him, or part of what you're thinking about?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of that, and so we feel like we need to do everything. We need to use our single high stuff and our two high stuff to mix that and do a really nice job of that. And Sean and Carroll both bring a wide breadth of experience to help us with our looks and disguises and to make it as intricate as we can and as difficult as we can on the quarterback. We have been a little bit, I'll tell you, we've been a little bit arrogant over the years, the way we play defense, because we've been able to do it just and go ahead and play what we want to play. It's not that time right now. It's time to keep moving and keep growing. And we've played the running game so well. I mean, we like 3.8, carry, for the season. That's pretty darn good, in this league. And maybe that's not the only thing we need to do. Well, we can do some other things too.
Background with the match coverages and stuff, was that part of what you want to do?
That's part of their background.
How much speculation there has been about Russell Wilson? What does it mean for you? How do you hear him? With Russell Wilson, he's come out and said that he still wants to play for the Seahawks. So what has that meant to you?
Oh yeah, thanks. Well, let me say this. Russell and I have had a partnership for all of these years. We've worked at this the whole time. And, we've always tell you that he says the same thing I do because it's the truth. It's how we've worked at stuff. We've communicated on a really high level ever since the first horse game we had when I told him he was going to be the starter. I mean, that at that point I told him that he and I are going to be in front of this program over the years. If things work out well and we hang together and we're successful, we're going to have to take on a lot of that responsibility. And with that thought, I felt it was hugely important that we communicated really well and that we would be in touch. We would know what's going on, and we could take the time to step aside some of the action that's at hand and make sure that we keep things in proper perspective. And that's what we've done. And so So anyway, that's really what this has been about. There's been a lot of talk and all that. That's just this time of year. But I feel like we're on a good page, that we know what's going on, and we're communicating really well still.
You talked about how, at the beginning, you talked about how.
No, that's not it.
How energized, excited you are about this. When you went back and looked at last season.
Energized, excited?
I know. Weird.
I'm freaking jacked up, John. If you want to know the truth, I'm jacked up. I'm not kidding. I can't wait to get this thing rolling.
Back and look, you take a little time and look back at the season. Just what did you come away with the way that year went?
No, there's a good question. Sorry, John, we're not going to answer that one. There was a stretch in this football season that's unlike anything that we've seen in the last decade. And where the games were extremely close, and the opportunities to win the games, as we have always won the games, to make us a successful winning football club, things just didn't happen the way they had been. And so we went through a stretch in there where we lost a ton of games. And it was in the transition time when Russ went down and Gino stepped up, and Gino did a marvelous job in stepping up and played his best game in his last game. I mean, I love the way he showed that after 4 years of being down, he could come back, be competitive in games, and then play such beautiful football. But during that stretch, and that Russ came back in action, we didn't win the games. We were there in all of them. We just didn't win the games. And whether it was a 2-point conversion to tie the thing to go to OT, or whether it's win it in OT, whether it was, all of those things. And it is, now I look back, I see it clearly. At the time, I was battling and competing and trying to get it done. And Russ did a remarkable job of returning in 4 weeks. I wish I would have helped him more. And I didn't think I helped him as much as I could have. And I always go back to what I could have done in there. And so we finally kind of came out of it, and we won 4 out of 6 or something at the end of the season. It wasn't great, but it was a finish that we're accustomed to, and it just started too late. And so we missed our opportunity, and that's what that is. And so I'm not shaken by that at all. I'm just pissed that we had to all live through that and not have the fun that we like having winning football games. And there's things that we need to do. There's a tremendous amount of focus on improving and doing things better than we did. I hate admitting it, like but I hate learning the hard way. But there are some hard lessons in there, and hopefully we'll make big jumps in areas that will make a difference. And really can't wait to get cranked up again and get it going. So. But there was that stretch about that season that we weren't able to get out of it, and it took us too long. By the time we did, the season was had gotten away from us. So on we go.
All right, thank you.